From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Thursday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. We'll talk to Jeffrey Wright here in a little bit. We'll recap the final day of the Major League Baseball Draft. Ole Miss picked up a couple football commitments in the last few days, and obviously all eyes turned toward Fayetteville for a Saturday start between the Rebels and the Razorbacks in the Super Regional round with a berth in the College World Series on the line. We'll cover all that and more today on the Oxford Exxon Podcast, brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford, the Blue Sky location. There, you get the ribs, you call ahead, they'll be ready to go. They'll wrap them up, have them ready for you. They'll plate lunches, $4.99, two sides bread, 32-ounce drink. The daiquiris for as little as $3.99, as big as 44 ounces if you want a lot of daiquiri today with maybe one of those lunch specials. Great gas prices, the mobile rewards app, the Speed Pass Plus program, and more there with the Oxford Exxon. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call the number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. It's right to the bottom line. You get your quote, and you can let that be a baseline for you moving forward, or you can do what I've done and what so many others have done, and that's let Clark Ford become a big part of your automotive life, I guess. And you get a Clark Ford vehicle, you get great service after the sale, delivery options. Corey wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy, and he'll prove that to you when you make the call. 662-257-1900 at the end of your deal. Tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on this podcast, and you'll save $500 off your bottom line.
So the final day of the Major League Baseball Draft came and went yesterday, rounds 11 through 40 to finish it up. And Ole Miss hit pretty good with its current players yesterday, or at least players that you thought, hey, maybe they keep them, maybe they don't, not sure what's going on. It started out in round 21, Parker Caracci goes to the Toronto Blue Jays. A round later in 22, Cole Zabowski to the Detroit Tigers. 27, Zach Phillips to the Kansas City Royals, and then 29th round, Houston Roth to the Baltimore Orioles. And early indications, and again, this is June 6th, this is 7:40 in the morning. I think all of the guys drafted are leaning towards signing. And that is my guess. That is my educated guess at the moment. We don't know for sure on Roth, and I'll tell you, Neal, that was the one that surprised me a little bit. Best I could tell, he didn't really have many meetings heading into the draft. Wasn't someone that most people expected to get popped, but he's got really good TrackMan numbers. We know that Ole Miss has TrackMan all over their stadium. That info goes straight to Major League clubs, and they can use that in the evaluating process. And I think that played a role for Roth. Happy for all these guys, but he's the one where I have a question because I think there's a decent chance he could come back and be the Friday night starter next year. I don't think that this is going to be some signing bonus that's going to be life-changing money. Now, obviously, he has a chance to go play professional baseball, and everyone that has that, it's a lifetime goal. I get that. But I do think he's the one of the bunch that kind of has a decision to make to where, hey, is this the time? Do I come back? Do I try not to come back? And frankly, it probably comes down to how much do I just like going to school every day, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, he closed the season well. He pitched really well in Hoover.
He was really good once he got healthy. I mean, all jokes aside, he's been fantastic the last few weeks.
Yeah, his analytics in Hoover were really good. A lot of scouts saw him. I know his dream from talking to people who know him, his dream is to, like a lot of guys who pitch, it's to pitch professionally. And so now the opportunity is in front of him, and like you said, he has a decision to make. And I suspect for him it's going to be a difficult decision, just based on kind of what I saw on social media last night. And again, this was with it being brand new. I've never been drafted. I don't know what that feels like. I would suspect it's a pretty cool feeling. You get a call from a major league club, and they tell you congratulations and all of those things. And I'm sure that there is a a recruiting bump, if you will, that comes with that. It looked last night like the bump was in full effect. But he'll have some time. There's a bus ride today, I presume, and there's some time over the next few days and possibly even longer than that where he's pitching for Ole Miss, and he'll have some time to sit down and talk to people, and he'll have a decision to make. And I agree with you. It's for him. It's a big one. I don't think it's a no-brainer either way. If you have the analytics to pitch professionally, you have the analytics to pitch professionally, and in some ways you can make the argument that you're better off going ahead and getting started with the club that you're with, getting into camp, getting acclimated, getting sent off to where you could pitch. He didn't pitch a lot this year. He's one of those guys that if he were to go professional, he could go probably pitch half a season somewhere between July and August. He could get some some professional experience this summer. And then obviously he could roll the dice a little bit. It's not a big roll of the dice. He's from here. He's comfortable here. He likes it here. All of those things. He could roll the dice and probably, like you said, be a Friday night starter in the SEC and get major exposure. And assuming that he performed well,
even as a senior, make a little more cash than be making right now.
Yeah, he could probably raise his stock. He wouldn't have a lot of leverage, and so you just don't know. So for him, my guess is that money is not going to be the big factor because I don't know that there's a path for him to making.
Yeah, it's the 29th round.
Yeah, if he had just an absolute blow you away year next year, where a lot of
coveted, where it's not about it's leverage even, it's just that you're coveted.
Where 10 clubs covet you and a team takes you first because they desperately want you, and then you figure out some slot stuff. I don't know. If you made me guess, and I have not talked to anyone, I'm just guessing, just kind of off social media reaction and stuff. My guess is that he's going pro, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah, that was my interpretation last night. But again, day of, we'll factor this out. He has 5 weeks to make this decision, give or take. I don't have the date in front of me, but it's sometime around mid-July.
Yeah, they'll take some time. He's focused on something else this weekend. Mostly. It's not like these are robots. Obviously this is in his mind, and it's going to be in his mind today and tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. He's going to think about it because they're humans. But, I doubt if they sit down and get to the absolute decision-making portion of it until probably this weekend is over. Even if Ole Miss wins and they're going to Omaha or whatever, there will be some time next week where they could sit down and have some real serious, uninterrupted conversations about what it is that they want to do.
Early indications, obviously, are that Zabowski and Phillips are likely to go, and then Parker Caracci's graduated, so I would assume he goes. I know Mike was going to just talk to him and be like, hey, look, you don't have to sign. Like, you can come back. Just be aware. But, it's one reason they recruit well is that they put the player first when it comes to all draft situations. They're known as a very player-friendly program to educate them, but not necessarily to persuade them. And there is a big difference there, and it's something Carl kind of talked about yesterday, but something that does matter. I think you see that is the fact that they've got, most of this draft class this signing class in. Trey LaFleur, I'll get to him in a second. But otherwise, everybody's showing up, and I think that some of that is reputation that, hey, they're going to take care of me. And then B, I've got a chance to come out of there better than I'm going in, and that you can trust that there's not going to be any strange situation or backroom dealing, if you will, in 3 years when I'm draft eligible again. The programs that handle it the best, they also recruit the best. There is a correlation there.
Of course, these guys want to play professionally. They have a decision to make coming out of high school. Do you go with an organization, or do you go to a college that you trust? And part of the college deal is that you trust that A, they're going to do their part in developing you as a prospect, and that B, when the time comes, they're not going to do anything to sabotage you with the major league clubs. And that's what you do. And so if you're a program like Ole Miss, you want guys getting drafted. That's a recruiting pitch. It means that you're doing your job. It means that you've done your part. And, these guys have decisions to make, and a guy like Parker, I mean, he's not going to get a ton now either. You know, he's got a little leverage, not much.
And you're a reliever.
And so, you know, I mean, just at some point it comes down to, do you want to stay in college and do that, or do you want to get started? It's your dream. The faster you get started on it, the faster perhaps you make it. But if you end up not making it and you look back and say, I wish I'd stayed one more year, I don't know. I mean, and then for, you know, the Zabowskis of the world, this is the only time they have any leverage at all. So my guess is that they bolt.
Yeah. Started hearing yesterday morning, I guess probably an hour after the podcast, that the Dodgers could make a move on Trey LaFleur, one of Ole Miss's commits or signees, I guess, for this class. And that did happen. It happened a little later than I thought. I was expecting 11 through 15, somewhere in there. I think it was 21 or 22, although round doesn't matter because slot values are the same at any point. The Dodgers did grab LaFleur. I haven't heard much. Some very early indication that Ole Miss has a chance to withstand it, but the Dodgers were trying to find a way to pull together north of $500,000 for LaFleur outside the 20th round, which is kind of interesting. But haven't heard any final word. Haven't talked to LaFleur. I'm going to kind of work on that today a little bit. But just something to sort of be aware of as this thing moves forward. The Dodgers, even though it's in the 21st, 22nd round, they are trying to make a play on him. And I think they could at least get in the ballpark of a number to give him a decision. But otherwise, the recruiting class is intact. I think they had a couple of guys taken really late. I know Ely was taken at some point, but that is irrelevant. Diamond was taken at one point. Dunhurst was taken, I think, the 37th round, but obviously those guys were first, early second day picks. They are not going to go for whatever's left over at that point of the draft. That is simply teams taking them because you got to take 40 guys, and who knows if a kid freaks out and decides to call you at the last minute. You just hold his rights, and really you don't expect much at all, to be honest. So
yeah, I don't know anything about LaFleur. I do know something about the Dodgers. They are considered one of the more draft-savvy teams. So obviously they have a plan with a kid like that, and we'll see what happens. And then with Ely, Arizona has him where they can come to him at some point in the next 5 weeks and try to cut an A.J. Brown sort of deal. They can manipulate numbers, and we'll see. It's what I anticipated would happen. I know everybody said, well, he took his name out. That didn't mean anything. I knew or felt strongly that some club would draft him and is going to come to him with some form of an A.J. Brown sort of a deal, 200, 250, whatever. Come spend 10 days of summer, in this case in Phoenix, and go to instruct and all that stuff, and just see if you can kind of keep an iron in the fire. I doubt if Arizona is all that invested in it, but you know, for a major league club, a couple $100,000 that's not moving the meter. It's like you writing a check for a dime out of your account. It's not impacting anything. We'll see. I still sort of wonder if that's not what ultimately happens, but we'll see.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's something to follow until the deadline. I mean, they can call him every day till the deadline and just see where it goes.
He's going to play football. There's no question about it. That to me, that's absolutely locked up now. But the part about him playing college baseball versus a professional thing, there are going to be a lot of people in his ear over the next 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll see. It's a way for him to put some money in his pocket, and kind of keep that open. And I'm gonna keep this completely real for a minute. And this just reality. If you were to ask the Ole Miss football program what they want, with truth serum, where they didn't have to give you the propaganda answer, they would tell you that they would love for him to do the A.J. Brown route. Would love it. It means that he's not
completely changes his time management.
He's not distracted in the spring. It means you have him in your off-season program. It means you can manage his rest, all of those things. He's with you, and you have him as a recruiting tool. If he plays baseball, realistically, if he's going to have any chance at all of contributing at all in baseball, when he comes back in January from the break or whatnot, he's pretty much at baseball most of the time. If he's going to have any chance at all to play, because they start practice, the second, third week of January-ish?
Yeah, scout day is usually somewhere between the 15th and the 17th.
So, you're there, and then the season starts typically around February the 10th-ish, if I'm remembering correctly.
Fair enough. Yeah, Valentine's weekend typically.
Okay, so and then they're still playing now, and it's June.
Might be playing for 2 more weeks.
Conceivably playing, yeah. But realistically, Ole Miss is a program that always makes the regional round, so he plays through Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a commitment. If you were to put truth serum into a football program, do they want that with their players? The answer is no.
Staying on baseball, what was your thoughts on the Craig Kimbrell thing? Seemed like a ton of money.
I guess that he got Ben Zobrist money for this year, and then he got 2 years. My guess is that they probably overpaid a little for the last 2 years to get him to come in this year. And I think if they're expecting him to be dominant Craig Kimbrell this year, they're probably going to be disappointed. I saw, can't remember who it was, Rosenthal or Morosi or somebody, that he's obviously thrown for major league clubs, including the Cubs here in the last few days, and that he wowed them. A lot of clubs feel like could be ready in a big league camp as early as big league team as early as June the 20th, which is 2 weeks from today. That seems awfully ambitious to me, but I don't know what his training regimen is. As it pertains to the Cubs, they absolutely had to do something, and they can't be done. They have to do more, but they had to do something with their bullpen, or else they were going to have no chance in the postseason. They have a team it's competitive. It's in first place in the Central by a game, and they have a very good lineup, and their rotation has pitched well, but their bullpen has been atrocious, and their ninth inning has been even more atrocious. So, they're a major market club. They're starting their own TV network next year, with their own app and their own station, and they've got a huge brand, and they've publicly said that they're going to have a lot more money at their disposal starting next year. So I'm sure that you're seeing some of that right now. They've shown that they know they're in a competitive window, and in an ideal world, he can close games, and Brandon Morrow comes back healthy in the second half, and you can insert him late, and Strope's there late, and it deepens your bullpen, and maybe they make another move for one more arm, and they're a World Series contender. But without bolstering their bullpen, they're just not. That pitching staff's not going to get them through October.
Where are they sitting right now?
They're in first,
Okay.
a game up over Milwaukee in the Central.
3-team race.
Oh, it's at least a 3-team race. I think Pittsburgh's still sort of in it, and I like Cincinnati. I don't know where they are right now. They got rained out last night. I guess I could look and see where they are in the standings. I like their team. They actually are pitching it really well.
Is that sustainable though through July?
Probably not. Cincinnati's 28-32, 6 games back, and they're in last. Pittsburgh is 5 out. St. Louis is 30-29. They're 3.5 out. Milwaukee's 34-28, 1 out. The Cubs are 34-26, and in first. So
After starting like 5-12 or something, right?
Yeah, they went 2-7 out of the gate.
Yeah.
Here's the deal in the National League, and this applies to the Cubs, it applies to the Brewers, it applies to the Braves, it applies to the Phillies, the Rockies. The Los Angeles Dodgers are a kick-ass baseball team. They are flawless. And so the bottom line is if you are preparing, you can humor yourself the whole year, like the Cubs and the Phillies and the Braves, and they can talk about races and making the postseason. The reality is if you're going to beat the Dodgers in a postseason series, you're going to have one hell of a baseball team. You are not going to be able to take a team where you go, well, we're really good except for our bullpen. That won't work. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're the Cubs and the goal is to get to the World Series, a gamble on Kimbrel is worth it if it's just a few $1 million. I think people like me and a lot of other people probably misinterpreted some of the things that Tom Ricketts said in the offseason about money, because a lot of Cubs fans had spent 2 years kind of being teased, really, about Bryce Harper. Not only about Bryce Harper, but about the Cubs a little bit, if you go back and read some of the things that Epstein said. And then when the Harper thing didn't happen and they didn't add anybody and they said they were out of money, I think it infuriated a lot of people. And I think they were out of money until Ben Zobrist went through this divorce, and he's not playing, hasn't played in a while, and the rumor is he probably isn't going to play. So he's not getting paid, obviously, which means that about $10 million got freed up.
All right. We'll go to Jeffrey Wright in 1 minute. Before we do that, I'll tell you about G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar in Oxford. Also, Tyson Drugs there in Holly Springs. You can transfer your medications easily. You don't have to stay with the big box pharmacies. Get with someone that might know you, that you can trust. 662-236-2222. And when you call them to do that, ask them about the CBD oil that's still very, very, very popular. It's an all-natural product, helps maintain overall health and regulate many conditions such as depression, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and more. Their products derived from industrial hemp, is federally legal in all states. Products pharmaceutical-grade CBD that is regulated by the FDA, ensures product consistency, purity, and potency. That may not be true with all other brands, especially online. So again, 662-236-2222.
Oxford University Bank will be hosting the 6th annual OUB two-man scramble June 29th and 30th at the Ole Miss Golf Course. Entry into the tournament is $225 per player. This includes 2 days of golf, cart, lunch both days, breakfast both days, beverages on the course, and a Calcutta dinner. Each golfer gets a +1 to the dinner, by the way.
They do.
They usually have around $40,000 in the Calcutta. The tournament usually pays out 8 flights at a rate of 3-2-1. This year, all the proceeds from the tournament will benefit the Sherry Buford Memorial Scholarship. Sherry was an educator here in Oxford before her life was tragically taken from her by a drunk driver in 2018. The scholarship will benefit a graduating senior from both Oxford High School and Lafayette High School each year. Over the past 5 years, OUB has raised just more than $150,000 through this golf tournament. They look forward to continuing this great event with your support. To register, go to OUBGolfTournament.com. That's OUBGolfTournament.com. Or you can also purchase a whole sponsorship for $100 at the website. If you have any questions, you can send an email to gantboone@OUBOL.com, or you can call OUB at 662-234-6668. Jeffrey Wright and all other guests join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. If you think you have a legal need, if you just have a question about something, you want to get some thoughts from an attorney, but you're not ready to invest just yet, that's cool. Take advantage of being a podcast listener. Get in touch with John Calvin Patterson and or Wes Earhart. They're local guys. They're going to take care of you. They'll listen, and they'll give you some initial advice, and that initial consultation is free. 662-526-1992, or check out their website. It's PELaws.com. Warm weather is here, and with it comes the inevitable debate of sock or no sock with your loafers. So save your feet and your shoes from making their own impression and step into spring with some no-shows from Dead Soxy. You really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. Go to deadsoxy.com, check out the no-show collection. Remember to enter promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 30% off all orders. The podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, has clients in more than 20 states, advisors in 3 states. Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, Study your expenses and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that's built just for you. It's pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
Now here's Jeffrey Wright on the Patterson-Earhart Hotline. Jeffrey, good morning. I'm sure it's another busy day for you. I want to talk a little officiating. I saw this yesterday. The SEC they are about to start apparently a Twitter account to discuss controversial calls, all this kind of stuff. They want their networks to hire official experts or whatever, like the NFL does for Fox and CBS. Is this actually a step toward being transparent, or is this simply something in the middle where they avoid the easy ways to do this, which would be pool reporters and just freaking being honest when they screw something up?
Or option number 3, take all this money that you're throwing at not the problem and maybe throw it at trying to get better officials.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe full-time officials. Neil, am I wrong on this?
No, I've said that for a while. I think that's the answer. I mean, I don't know what the cost of that would be or whatever, but I have a difficult time believing the league doesn't have the money to do it.
Yeah, Herb Vincent says we've got to do something differently. We can't keep doing what we've always done. This goes beyond releasing more statements in response to controversial calls. He says this happens sooner rather than later, and there are measures coming too, like a Twitter account specifically designed to post in-game commentary on close calls.
Yeah, I think you're like in terms of like your overarching point. I think you're probably right. Where if reporters, if you could just if they had to actually answer like a coach does, like players do, I'm with you. Like I think it changes a lot, but I don't know why we weirdly protect officials more than we protect players.
We'll completely do it. I mean, I guess to Steve Shaw's credit, he says, I'm not sure we can live in a no-comment world anymore. Said that at media days. But this isn't the problem. It's like what you're talking about. It's the deal where, I don't know, and this is the hard part too, you better get the expert or whatever from some outside region, because otherwise it's just going to be this constant, from a PR standpoint. I'm not saying it's true, but from a PR standpoint, it's just going to look biased as hell anyway. It's the SEC.
Oh God! For the love of God, give me some chaos. Give me an official that's a graduate from the University of Alabama.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I need it. Don't want it. Need it.
There's a solution, though. Technology allows it. I mean, we're sitting here in 3 different places having a conversation right now. Technology allows you to bring in an outside entity. You could bring it in every Friday. They can prep for the games, and they can watch the games on Saturday in live time and correct things into an ear set of the officials right there on the field. Just get the calls right. That's all anybody really wants. Get the calls right. And with
Chase, they're bringing in Jeff Triplett, aren't they?
Probably, yes. That's my.
There's just a way to get it right. I mean, you're never going to get it completely right. There's no way to get. I mean, as the Saints learned, you're never going to get every call completely right, and there's going to be some stuff that falls through the cracks that harms you, but they can improve the officiating at the college level. There's a way to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it. But yeah, in the SEC, with all of the fandom the way that it is, you're going to have to bring in some outside entities that, at least on the surface, don't appear to have a preference.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to do it like Fox does it, man. Like Fox uses Pereira and Blandino. Like they use their Sunday guys. It probably was a little nicer paycheck for Pereira and Blandino. But, okay, instead of working 1 day a week, of course, I guess they work now Thursdays too. So they're going up to, they've tripled their workload, but I'm sure they're fine with it. I mean, for God's sakes, it's like getting paid to do what you're doing anyway. Like you're probably going to sit, if you're those two, you're probably going to sit around and watch football anyway on Saturday. So, hey, now I sit and watch it at a command center and now I get paid for it.
ESPN, this would be very simple. They could put a couple of these guys and they could watch all the games and just pipe into them when something happened. I do wonder if CBS really gives a crap about this, because we're talking about just 1 game a week.
Yeah, and their CBS is kind of known as definitely being the cheapest of all the networks. in terms of paying talent. So, yeah, I mean, they wouldn't even re-up their – like they have the best deal in all of football too. Like they're only paying something like $3 million per game on the SEC Game of the Week, and I believe like they average like 8 of the 10 highest rated football games each year. So that's like it's a huge good deal for them. But like basically the SEC's already said as soon as this deal's up, like we're taking our ball and we're opening it up for bidding. I guess they're going to welcome CBS. They know CBS isn't going to pay for it. I think we're closer to probably seeing some SEC on Fox. But I guess the other flip side of it is, though, Chase, they do have the cable network. And they have a lot of games on that as well.
I mean, I guess, but you're not paying a guy a salary for those channels.
No, but they use the same talent.
Yeah.
So it's the same talent pool. So whatever, you hire one person and whatnot. But I mean, that is actually true, though. Like you bring a good point. The network that's going to have the biggest game of the week, at least in terms of ratings, they're probably going to spend the least.
Well, and I mean, you also got to make sure that none of the contracts and the stuff you're doing, like you mentioned, outdo or lengthen beyond what just the rights deals in place already are. Because then you're just trapped with potentially guys to do games that don't exist on your networks.
But see, like that's the problem the SEC is going to have. Like the SEC, like NFL doesn't hire Mike Pereira, doesn't hire Dean Blandino for Fox. Like the TV network hires them.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the SEC trying to say? We want our people in there. Like you know what I mean? Like I can kick and scream all I want, but at the end of the day, CBS just goes, "We're paying you."
Well, I can assure you the SEC wants their propaganda people in the booth.
What? No, come on.
Actually, in that article from Dellinger, a couple SEC people said the commentators were part of the problem because they were so poor with knowing the rules that they send off issues that shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Best defense is a good offense.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. It's somebody else's fault, really. If they had explained it correctly, we'd be okay right now.
Oh my God. Hold on. Time out.
Come on.
Wait, no, Neil. Come on. Tip your cap. Like that's art.
You're telling me that the SEC network tells their guys when you're calling an ESPN, who's a corporate partner with the SEC, and CBS, which is a corporate partner with the SEC, you're telling me that those guys have the freedom and carte blanche to criticize? Stop. Give me a...
If they were just criticizing the officials correctly, we wouldn't have this issue. Yes.
That's a great point. They don't miss calls, but they sure do miss calls up in the booth.
I've covered this league for 20-something years. They are. This is a sensitive league, man. I mean, go to media days and watch who the league cozies up with. It's the reporters who are absolute kiss asses.
Name names.
I'm looking for the quote while y'all were talking. I saw it earlier.
Come on, Neil.
No, I don't want to make more enemies today. I mean, a lot of those guys they've made it to spots in this field that I'll never make it to, and they could turn around and say that, and I would have to say you're right. But I know how the league works. The league is very sensitive to criticism.
LSU AD Scott Woodward even comes out and goes, "Some of our commentators blow it the worst."
There we go.
Quote, end quote.
You have an officiating
SEC.
You have an officiating problem because your officials aren't good, and it's not their fault. I mean, they're not. You're asking average. What guys? What's the average age of an SEC official?
I would say over 45.
Yeah,
okay,
45 to 50, I guess.
So me, and I work out 6. I'm not saying this to be like brag, but I work out 6 days a week.
At 45 years old, you are in better shape than I am at 30.
But if you put me on a field with elite 19, 20, and 21-year-old athletes, and I know there's some that are a little younger and some that are a little older, but you get the point.
You're going to show up and show out?
I'm going to get exposed.
Oh, yeah, the other one.
I mean, there's no way that I could keep up with Jerry and Ely on a football field and see things. And so there is a way to solve this with technology and help the officials out, or you can hire officials to be full-time where they can hone their craft year-round and be better prepared.
Or, I don't know, my suggestion was always just the NFL is constantly, or the NFL, I don't know if it's the officials or the NFL or whatever the officials wing of the NFL is. They are consistently, I mean, for lack of a better word, they're scouting for officials.
Yeah.
Get the guys that they're scouting, create some type of partnership where you have a legitimate training program.
And that would be cool too. Yeah. My point is there's a way to do it without going, oh, what are you going to do? It's Taylor Zarzer's fault? I mean, give me a break.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of in love with that. There wouldn't be a problem. There wouldn't be a problem if these people weren't pointing out the wrong problem. I mean, at a certain level, Neil, like, I'm sorry, like, I would consider myself a pretty good man of spinning. I don't think I would have come up with that.
Oh, they're strong at that. You got to give them a ton of credit. They will walk into the room and convince you that it is your fault.
Neil,
I mean, that is just unbelievable. How dare you?
Neil, did you pour one out for your neck of the woods? The SEC losing, or the SEC declining the Independence Bowl tie moving forward? They're going with Vegas and the Gasparilla Bowl and dropping the Independence Bowl?
Shreveport had a hell of a run.
They did. Everything from Poulon Weed Eaters to Mainstay to everything, right?
Hold on, Chase. Try to say pulling weed eaters one more time.
Yeah, shut up, Jeffrey. No.
Well, no. Oh, okay. You trying to pull an SEC? Did I misidentify? Did I misidentify your pronunciation?
Okay, it's fine.
Wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It was Poulan's fault for having a damn weed eater. No, I mean, I think here's the other fast thing. The SEC, they're going to be very cautious about gambling and stuff, but by God, we'll jump in bed with the Vegas Bowl. It's whatever pays the bills.
No. Neil,
there's more to Vegas than gambling.
Hold on.
You can make Vegas your Vegas.
I'm sick and tired of McCready's slander against not only our student athletes of the SEC, but more importantly, our decision to give the fans what they wanted. They've been clamoring for a Pac-12 bowl tie-in, and we just found a way to make sure the 9th team in the SEC matches up with the 9th team in the Pac-12. How dare you? In an NFL stadium.
Is that what it is?
I mean, it'll be somewhere around there. I don't know.
Is it Pac-12? I thought it was Big 12.
Yeah.
Pac-12?
Pac-12.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was Pac-12 too, but maybe it's Big 12. I mean, the SEC desperately needs to have. I mean, I think to expand their bowl tie-ins to include the Pac-12, and good for them. I mean, if you're going to reward a kid for going 7-5,
what better way to do it than perhaps matching up with an institution like Arizona State? Maybe if UCLA can get it together and Chip Kelly can remember how to recruit, which is unlikely because he hasn't ever done it without Phil Knight's money.
Take a break in our talk with Jeffrey to tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing in the Oxford area, and the float down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate, but if rates go down before you close, you just get the lower rate. 662-234-2704 or JLOWE@communitymtg.com.
My mailbag is up at rebelgrove.com. It is brought to you by the Westin Jackson. You can restore serenity to your soul at Soul Spa right there in the Westin Jackson. It's the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. And then you can head over to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro right there in the Westin Jackson, sip on a creative craft cocktail, enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. And Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So gather at Estelle in the Westin Jackson tonight. Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you've been thinking about that golf trip with the guys, an anniversary trip you'll never forget, playing at St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris or London, whatever the case may be, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it yourself. You can also get in touch with John about cruises, resorts in Florida and the Caribbean. Whatever the case may be, John is part of Virtuoso. He's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. So what you do is you give him a call, you give him some parameters, you give him a budget, and he gives you options that you would not find on your own. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Now back to Jeffrey Wright.
You could have the opportunity to truly play them in a special, special moment, a place where you can get a full USDA Prime buffet for like $8.95.
But it is a reward for kids. It is a little bit of a reward. I mean, it's more fun for a kid to go, hey, we're going to go play in Vegas than it is to go, hey, I'm going to spend Christmas in Shreveport.
So who's the Independence Bowl now? It's like the Pac-12 or the Mountain West, or no, Mountain West doesn't exist. Who is it? The Pac-12? Is that what it is?
Hold on. Mountain West does exist.
They exist? Okay. Who doesn't
It exists.
I could lie to you and tell you that I looked this up, but I
don't think the WAC exists anymore.
Sorry, that's it. Yeah, my fault. The Mountain West is like Utah State, right?
That would be the Mountain West is Boise State.
Boise. Oh, right. Yeah. Fresno.
Yeah.
Yeah, them. Yeah, they exist. Sorry. WAC.
Yeah.
It's the WAC that died. Hey, coincidentally, La Tech was in the WAC.
WAC?
Yes,
the
they
WAC died?
Do what?
Well, it died.
WAC died.
It died as like they tried to revive the. When you've got a brand as established as the WAC, like the conference broke up, and then they kind of like tried to like someone's like, hey, WAC was a pretty cool acronym. Like it looked good on paper. Like we should try to bring it back, but it was essentially just like Conference USA.
I truly didn't know that the WAC had died.
It died, what, 5 years ago?
No. It died like, I want to say it died like around the year 2000.
So what is
No, it's
Tech
not that long ago.
What is Louisiana Tech in now? Are they in Conference USA?
Yeah, they're in
They're in
CUSA.
CUSA.
Okay.
That is correct.
The West, hey, because hey, as everyone knows, when you think the western part of America, you think Ruston.
Central Louisiana. Yeah. I don't know.
So in the minor sports, we worry about travel and prices and expenses. La Tech in Hawaii were in the same conference?
Oh, for years, yeah. They had to go to Hawaii. They had to go to Boise. They had to go all over. I don't know how in the hell did they possibly? I mean, that's just so stupid. It's so stupid. Think of all of the times. That's why you had to go play Alabama or Auburn or somebody. And go, oh, we need $2 million because that pays the volleyball travel budget. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why Louisiana Tech and Louisiana Monroe and all those schools should form a conference. It would actually make so much more sense.
Well, there is one. It's called the Southland. La Tech's just not in it.
When I was a kid, they were in the Southland and they played those games, and yeah, they were Division
I get for football you can't do that. I get that, but
they were Division 1AA at the time, but it was far more entertaining than what they do now.
La Tech should be in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, those are natural rivalries. I mean, those are seriously, when I was a kid and Louisiana Tech played Northeast Louisiana, which is now ULM. It was a big game. You'd read the paper all week leading up to the game, and it didn't matter to anybody outside of that 30-mile corridor, but inside that 30-mile corridor.
Hold on. That sounds like the rest of college football.
Yeah, and so what they do.
Games that matter to your small segment, but no one else gives a shit.
Yeah, and now they play, I don't even know who the hell is in their conference, but they don't have any rivalries.
So for Tech, is that what you're saying? Or were we talking about ULM?
Tech. I mean, ULM doesn't have any rivalries.
Well, you bite your dadgum tongue. Who the hell doesn't look forward to the Louisiana Tech UAB game every year?
Arkansas State.
It is exciting.
No, isn't Arkansas State? I think Arkansas State and Lafayette. Isn't that a bigger one?
Are they?
But no,
rivals?
Lafayette. Yeah, because Arkansas State's in the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
ULL and Louisiana Tech don't like each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
MTSU always a
That's a big game.
I mean, huge.
When they come to Ruston, it shuts them down.
I mean, and then now that those carpetbaggers of Texas San Antonio have entered the company or entered the conference.
It's truly the great fraud in all of it is that
There's no question.
You could divide up. You could take the Power Five programs. You could let them go form their own group, whatever it's called, their own league. They could play each other. Schedules would be more entertaining. They could take the money. They'd actually be able to pay the players over the table. And then you could let the programs like Louisiana Tech and Louisiana Monroe and stuff, they could form their own league as well. They could have their own playoff system. It would be entertaining for them, and they wouldn't have to try to compete on this national level where you're just selling out.
All right, it's time for America's new favorite game show.
Yep.
Name a CUSA school. All right, so I've already given you UAB, and I've given you Louisiana Tech.
Okay.
Are we doing it one by one, or what are we doing?
Let's just go till we miss.
Okay. Southern Miss.
That is one. Okay, we've got three.
Tulsa.
Sorry, Neil. Tulsa's in the American. They used to be CUSA.
I know this from baseball conference tournaments. Rice is in the CUSA.
Rice is indeed in CUSA. The remaining schools: Florida Atlantic, Florida International, Marshall University, MTSU, UNC Charlotte.
Had no idea there, but okay.
North Texas.
Sure.
Old Dominion.
Oh, absolutely.
UTEP. Yeah. Old Dominion had the remember Old Dominion upset
they beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
I remember that now.
Rice, as Chase mentioned, Southern, UTEP, Texas San Antonio, and Western Kentucky.
Also, Western Kentucky was in the Sun Belt. Were they never in the Sun Belt? Really?
That is a great question if they ever were.
Sun Belt. They were in the Sun Belt for a little while.
They were?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
It says they joined the CUSA in 2014.
Okay.
I mean, if we're talking about all that matters for television contracts is footprint, I mean, show me in terms of geographic footprint, show me something better than CUSA. I mean, you've got the DC you've got the DC area, the entire state of Florida, Texas, pretty much everyone in the South with the exception of Georgia and South Carolina, and just let them go secede like they did anyway. So you're good.
It's America's conference, really. So.
That is America's conference. What a tagline.
I know you got to go in a second. Raptors win last night. Are they winning the series? You still feel good about it?
I still feel pretty good, man. I mean, I know they kind of let one slip away in game 2. I guess they didn't let it slip away. When you give up a 20-0 run, you kind of lose. You kind of earned your L. But I've felt the same way that I kind of have every game, and especially if Klay Thompson's not playing. So now you had a team that had four Hall of Famers, and then the rest are kind of scrubs, but you can get away with that. Well, now that you've taken 2 out of the equation, it turns out it's kind of a fair fight. I'm just looking forward to all the LeBron takes today.
Well, they're everywhere already.
They're good. They're strong, too.
They're everywhere.
Force is strong with the takes.
So, Toronto in 6.
If Thompson doesn't play, it's Toronto in 5.
Oh, okay.
I think Neil's right. I think if Klay doesn't... Well, the question, though, is do you rush both of them back now?
Oh, because 6 is back at Oracle. It's 5 in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Look, if they can play, they've got to play. If they can't play, you're not winning. They're both free agents. They've both already got rings. I'm sure they have people in their ears going, do not make this worse than it has to be. It's a weird spot because there's a lot of talk about Klay going to the Lakers right now.
Well, but this is what I found fascinating. God, these are I just wish sometimes the takes could flow through me like they do some people. Last night, my favorite Twitter take, and by the way, this was from someone with a blue check mark. Okay. This was not a fraud, at least in terms of
verification, if you will.
Correct. Yes. Correct. See, this is why you re-sign Clay and let Durant walk. Because of the defensive. It was I'll say this. I had two thoughts going through my mind last night as I was watching the game. One of which was, Neil, remember when it was kind of like the late third, and they're just, like, both teams were just trading big shots. Like, just back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
The first thought that went through my mind was, how do people not like this? Like, I don't shove the NBA down anyone's throat. But I was legit, like, guys were just hitting huge shots, and it was just so much fun to watch. And I'm sitting there going, how do people truly not enjoy this? Like, I'm not saying you have to enjoy the soap opera that comes with it, but just in terms of watching a high-level basketball game, like it blew me away. And then second was some of the people that have platforms apparently don't have eyeballs. Like, I just don't think we watch the same thing. And by the way, I think Klay Thompson's a really darn good player.
Yeah.
But if you watch that game and your takeaway was, see, this is what happens when they lose Klay on the defensive end.
No, man, they're playing without Kevin Durant.
They're 8-1 in the finals when Kevin Durant plays. They're 8-9 when he doesn't.
Wow.
I mean, Kevin Durant's
and keep in mind, I'm the same person that hopes the Warriors win without him, because all I want to do is just cheapen those championships. But I'm not going to sit there and act like Kevin Durant's not, like, it just blows me away.
This is Steph's big opportunity now, though, to establish himself as.
But I mean, what more? I mean, realistically, what more could he have done last night?
There's nothing more he could do. I mean, literally, he had
45. He had 45 with a quarter to play.
If LeBron sent him a text last night that goes, "Now you know how I feel," it was justified.
Well, and you know LeBron did, because LeBron has to find a way to insert himself into every conversation.
But that is exactly what LeBron went through all those years. It is
God, we fell into the trap. We did LeBron takes. Oh my God.
But it was exactly.
But we fell into the trap. Like, that's how LeBron gets us. By the way, how about that candle thing? Y'all see this?
No, I didn't see this.
LeBron has legitimately turned himself into a basic bitch. Like,
what'd he do?
I don't remember if it was a GQ article or whatever, but it comes out that his road routine is to light candles in his hotel room because that's what his wife does at home, and it makes him remind him home. Like, it's something that on the surface is kind of like, you know, whatever. Like, it's like a nondescript sweet thing. It's like, okay, that's like a nice homage to your wife or whatever. If it's like just that, but it's LeBron, and everything with LeBron is calculated, and everything is like, there's some type of, like, I'm sure it's to, like, soften his image or whatever. But let's take it back. Was it 2 summers ago? I believe 2 summers ago, he starts getting really into wine. And that story that ESPN, the magazine, did, for all the good writing that they I guess have for another 2.5 months, that was an abject joke. Like, it just was. It was a complete and utter joke that they tried to write that. But, you know, now he's gone from drinking like Riesling to upgrading to like Moscato to now I think he might have even gotten into a Sauvignon Blanc and might have made his way all the way up to Pinot Noir. But now he's doing candles. Like, he has the same progression as a DG at Ole Miss.
As the father of a child that's getting ready to go through Rush, I refuse to disparage any sorority.
You're good with them all.
Well, they haven't had time to investigate.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Save some takes, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right.
Thanks to Jeffrey for giving us time, as always, on Thursdays. The podcast is brought to you also by Master Cuts Lawn and Landscape, premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi. They offer a lot more as well. Everything from custom playgrounds to retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces, paver patios, forestry mulching, and more. The path to your dream backyard, easier than you think with Master Cuts. 662-607-7773, or you get that same free quote at gomastercuts.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. Harry is a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. It houses, snack bar and BBB and all that. So you're right there. And Savannah Square, it's initially going to consist of 32 standalone detached structures ranging in size from about 1,100 square feet to about 2,400 square feet. You can check out the model home at 215 William Street. The homes have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes, which you can inspect at the William Street model. So get in touch with Harry. Check out the website, savannahsquareoxford.com, and then get him a call or text at 662-801-5621. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast or at rebelgrove.com, and you will get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And Father's Day coming up really soon now, June the 16th. It's the perfect time to break the monotony of boring Father's Day gifts with a pair of Mississippi-made Blue Delta jeans. Don't get Dad another tie or some gift card at a hardware shop. Get him a pair of jeans that you know he'll love. If you can't get him into the Oxford studio before then, email Blue Delta Jeans. It's info, I-N-F-O, at bluedeltajeans.com. Purchase a gift card that Blue Delta can ship out to Dad for his big day. And speaking of coming to Oxford, Ole Miss orientation in full swing in June. So if you're coming to town for orientation, this is the perfect time to drop in the studio. Check out Blue Delta's raw denim and Holland and Sherry fabrics, as well as the new spring-summer collection and their new tactical camo pants. Guys, you don't want to be the parents wearing poorly fitting jeans at orientation. You want to help your son and daughter with their initial first impression, not hurt it. So get into a pair of Blue Delta jeans today. Again, info at bluedeltajeans.com.
Just seeing here some game or super regional lines, if you're curious. Pretty much the home teams are the favorites pretty much across the board as I'm kind of seeing it. Arkansas to win the super regional minus 245, so that would be 245 to win 100 or 100 to win 245 on Ole Miss. Louisville minus 135 against East Carolina, so again you bet 135 to win 100 or 100 to win 135. Texas Tech minus 280 against Oklahoma State. Vanderbilt minus 1,050 against Duke.
Yep.
Is that even a value bet, though, since you know Vanderbilt's going to win?
I mean,
are you still just throwing money away?
I mean, I guess if you just
don't you
want to
throw 100 on Duke just for the sheer heck of it?
I mean, I guess you could, because Vanderbilt has a tendency to have some postseason.
They'll screw up occasionally, yeah.
Although here lately they haven't.
Yeah. UCLA minus 570 against somebody that I cannot remember. Michigan. LSU minus 185 against Florida State. State minus 230 against Stanford. And then UNC minus 170 against Auburn. So,
the bets in there that sound good.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is a good bet.
You get 2.5 to 1.
I like Stanford. If I'm just going for a value bet, I'd have a chance there.
Okay.
I don't know what Ginn's situation is.
And I don't hate Oklahoma State against Texas Tech if it's 280.
And I don't hate the Auburn bet against Carolina.
Okay.
I don't love it, but there's some value there.
Game 1 lines minus 190 for the Hogs. So close to 2 to 1 on Saturday in that Campbell Etheridge matchup. So just lines. Anyway. Ole Miss picked up a couple commits the last couple days. Josiah Hayes, and Darius Coffey. I guess just go this way. What's going on? I know you're still swimming, trying to get into it a little bit. You've been dealing with camps the last couple of weeks, but at least from the Hayes standpoint, in-state kid that's pretty highly rated at this time.
Yeah, they really like Hayes. Before anybody says, what do you think of them? Man, I got to be honest. I'm over there, and it's a whole bunch of kids that I don't know. I didn't know their names until a week ago. I am the guy, you probably experienced this in college at least once, where maybe you went to the classes, but you really didn't pay attention until April. And then all of a sudden the exam's the first week of May, and it's April the 20th, and you realize you're in trouble, and you start cramming, and I'm there. I don't know who the people are. So I don't know what they look like. I have no idea. Hayes is a kid that they're excited about. Number one, they want to get, they want to be able to recruit that part of the state. He's a kid that can come in and help. And then Coffee is a kid that is from Winona. I think he plays quarterback there. He hadn't really played DB much in his career at all. They view him as a defensive back. He was a bit of a camp freak. And, yeah, is there a gamble there? There is. But he's 6 foot. He's about 200 pounds. He's got a 43 vertical, if I'm remembering all the numbers right. He ran the 40 in the 4.4s. He did his shuttle around 4.1. Here's the thing. People talk about, and I've had this conversation with some people at Ole Miss. So this isn't spin. This is reality. I get, and I understand that I work for Rivals, and that Rivals makes a lot of money off of recruiting, and a big part of the recruiting buzz is recruiting rankings. I get it. I understand that. If you remember back to the beginning when Hugh Freeze got to Ole Miss, and Chase, make sure you're listening so that in the event that I'm wrong here, you can correct me.
Okay.
At the beginning of Hugh Freeze's time at Ole Miss, there was a lot of talk about size-speed ratio.
Yes.
And I remember saying and thinking, this guy gets it. Because that's how you win in this league. You don't win by out-scheming people. You really don't. You really don't. That's how you win. You win by having athletes. You win by having guys who can close gaps, guys who can chase people down, guys who can make plays. You win with size and speed and strength and stuff. That's how you win. And as the Freeze tenure went on, and I'm not getting personal against Hugh, I'm just keeping it real, as he lost some coaches, as he lost some staff, they got away from that. I can't remember in the last 2 or 3 years of Hugh Freeze's tenure when they talk. I can't remember him talking about size speed anymore. In fact, I can remember at the Sugar Bowl asking him about that kind of thing and getting more about, no, we recruit a different kind of kid. They had already kind of gotten away from that because they had convinced themselves that you have to recruit a different kind of human being. And I can remember telling you there in New Orleans, I'm like, man, that's not the right answer. Anyway, this staff, Tyler Siskey and Matt Luke and the people that are making these decisions about recruiting, it is about size speed again. It is very simple. You're in a league with Alabama. You're in a division with Alabama, with Auburn, with LSU, with Texas A&M. That's who's in your division. You have to recruit the kind of athlete that they're recruiting if you're going to have a chance to compete with them. And they view a kid like Andarius Coffey as that type of kid. He doesn't have the rating yet. Rivals hasn't rated him. He's from a small school. What's Winona, 2A?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah. So it's a small school in Mississippi. He plays quarterback. He's not a quarterback at the college level. It's hard for the Rivals type people to accurately evaluate him, if we're all being honest. So it's going to get there's going to be some fan angst. But here's the thing. And this isn't spin. This is true. I would say this to the Ole Miss people. In fact, I have. They're in the scoreboard business. They're not in the recruiting rankings business. They're in the scoreboard business. And you either get the kind of athletes on your campus and in your program that allow you to score more points than the other teams, or you get fired. It's really that simple. And these guys are they're trying to not get fired. They're trying to win. They believe these are the kids that can help them. I think they've got another 2 or 3 commitments coming in the next several days. I don't want to get into numbers because then people just berate you when the numbers don't pop up that way. They've got another kid that is all but committed right now. They're just kind of finalizing some things where he's comfortable with it. They've got a couple. I wrote this, and it's on rebelgrove.com. It's on the message board. If you are not a subscriber, you should subscribe. If you're into recruiting, there's a lot there the last week or so. They've got a couple of kids coming back on sort of return visits on, what's today, Thursday, tomorrow, Friday, where I think at least one is a likely commitment. There's possible they get 2 commitments. Other schools are trying to get involved in it literally right now to stop those commitments. So it's recruiting and crazier things happen, but they're in on some guys that at least right now aren't, quote, highly rated, but they like them. And the reason they like them is size, speed. They had their first big off-season workout yesterday with all of the freshmen in. They got 31 for 31. And talking to people inside the program, one of the things that got said yesterday was it's the first time since they've been there, however you view this tenure, second year, third year, I'm not getting into that. You can do whatever you want. It's the first time that they looked out on that field and said, this looks like an SEC program. In terms of numbers, they're at 85. In terms of size and speed and such, they think they're getting there. They think they're closing the gap. In the words of one person really close to the program, we look the part, we're really raw. A lot of young guys. A lot of guys who haven't played any college football. A lot of guys who haven't played any SEC football, that kind of thing. They're really young, but they like this class that they got. And they went 31 for 31. It's a hell of an accomplishment. And now they're trying to stack another class on top of that one. And that's the only way out of all of the NCAA stuff, out of the last couple of years of the Hugh Freeze tenure, where I didn't think they did a very good job of recruiting. I didn't think they did a very good job of evaluating. They certainly did not sign deep classes. And that's obvious. It's been obvious on the field the last couple of years. And the numbers are better. It's going to be about just how quickly they can put some things together. But the feeling inside the program, and this is them talking, not me, is that they're definitely headed in the right direction, and they feel good about what's going on in recruiting.
Good synopsis. You can stay locked into rebelgrove.com as we continue to cover that throughout the recruiting calendar, if you will. No podcast tomorrow. I have to go to Fayetteville. It is what it is. Got to be there by mid-afternoon. So no podcast tomorrow. We will play Monday by ear, obviously, because games are on Saturday and Sunday. And we'll see what's going on. If there's a Game 3, I expect a Game 3. I think they split the first 2. And then play one for all the marbles, if you will, on Monday. So we'll have more to you at the time. We'll let you know on the message board, on Twitter, and all those things. So we appreciate Jeffrey, and we'll talk to you again when we do.